You're listening to Sensitive Changemakers. This podcast is created for highly sensitive leaders and is designed to support you to embrace your strengths and gifts so you can feel more confident in your own mind and body and live a life with intention, purpose, and more importantly, joy. I'm your host, Kate Carter, a fellow HSP who has a BA Honours degree in education, is a fully trained and qualified professional coach and NLP practitioner, and has over 17 years of teaching and over 3 years of coaching experience supporting highly sensitive people. I believe that you can do anything you want to in this life, but that sometimes the path forward becomes muddy with self-doubt and fear of failure. It's my mission to help sensitive thought leaders peel away the self-doubt and stories holding them back, for them to see their own beauty and strength so they can increase self-confidence and self-trust through thought and embodiment work and see their path clearly and move forward confidently, living their life with intention and purpose. I would love for you to come and join us. Hello and welcome to Sensitive Changemakers. I hope this episode finds you well. I am taking a break over the Christmas period, and so what I've done is I've got the 3 best performing podcast episodes lined up for you over the next 3 weeks, so you can enjoy listening to those and really get a feel for energy and being highly sensitive and the gifts that are involved in that. And so I would love to get your takeaways and your feedback. Please do let me know. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday period. If you celebrate Christmas, have a wonderful Christmas. If you don't, I hope you get time to relax over this time. And I will see you in 2024. Today, I am joined by a very beautiful lady. Claire, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks so much for having me here, Kate. I am Clare Emma Wild. I'm a business and personal coach, and I help quiet leaders achieve the confidence they need to succeed for their own version of success, whatever that is.
I love that. And I love the quiet element. And I think we'll delve into that a little bit further on in the episode, but I do love the quiet element. So how did you get started in this? What's your background?
Oh, wow. Thanks, Kate. I could go on for this forever, so do stop me if I stop waffling on. So I started off as a veterinary surgeon, working with, is what I wanted to do since I was 14 years old. And that was my thing. I was going to be a vet and work with dogs and cats and all kinds of birds and beasts. And then for various reasons, after working in practice, I moved into being a government vet.
Okay.
So working in corporate government, whatever you call it. And then my leadership and management, I suppose my formal leadership and management journey started. But I knew I was different deep down. And something in me made that wrong for a long time. And I just needed to fix myself to be more like, what a leader needed to be. I had no idea about introversion, although you've used the words introvert, extrovert. I didn't know about it. I didn't know about highly sensitive people, high sensory sensitivity, or being an empath. And I had no idea about any of this stuff. And I'd spent a lot of my life not feeling my emotions. I think you'll resonate with that.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to feel any of that stuff. So I got really good feedback. I was promoted, I moved up. But there was always this thing about, I need to be more confident, get a thicker skin. I always felt like I needed to speed up my decision making and my thinking. But as an introvert, of course, I didn't know that. And I need the time to process and be my best self. So people pleasing, very common to us. A lot of self-doubt, feeling like an imposter. And at one point, I burnt out for 6 months. And I tried all kinds of modalities to fix me again: therapy, CBT, acupuncture, medication, mindfulness, a lot of yoga. I really got into the self-development, self-help, psychology aspects within that. And boy, do I study when I need to. And it all got me so far. And I really needed to understand what had happened in my past that got me here, how that affected me. And I came back to work, I felt a lot better, felt supported. I was a bit stuck, there wasn't and now what? How do I take all of this and then make it work for me? But I did a leadership program. I was really lucky to do this amazing leadership program led by 2 coaches. Did a lot of group coaching, individual coaching, etc. And for the first time, it focused on leading or being as a person who you are, rather than this is how leadership is, that's how you need to be, and just that's kind of one way or the highway, and focusing on your qualities and strengths and making them more important than actually not put them in a box and going, well, yeah, but that's all very well, but actually I need to do this to be the best leader I can be. And that started my shift. I'd always identified that my joy was in coaching as a leader. I wanted to do that formally, so I formally trained as a coach. And it was a long training. I think it was like 160 hours or something like that. And for the first time with the peer coaching I got a lot more, though I had a little bit of one-to-one coaching. It was like a light bulb, and this is it. This is what moves me forward. And the joy of being accepted for who you are, like unconditionally. This is who you are. That's ace. You don't need fixing at all. And you've got all the answers. And I'm just going to help you look at those beliefs, what's holding you back, identify those blocks, and you've got everything that you need. Yeah. And both being able to help people myself like that and being helped like that, I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is what I've always needed. This is what I didn't have. Yeah, and then life happened. I had a second burnout. But I'd taken from that leadership thing because it was very focused on Myers-Briggs, so not more the sensitive side, but it's like, well, if I'm an INFJ, what does that mean? Who am I? How do I lead? Where are my strengths? But then a really good friend of mine said to me one day, do you think you might be highly sensitive? We were talking about something I was struggling with, and I was like, no, of course not. I spent all this time trying not to feel anything. Of course I'm not sensitive. I played rugby for whatever. No. I said, I think you should read this book. And she said, I am. And I thought, well, crikey, if she is, I better read this book. So, and then from that point, I started a course that I read Elaine Aron's book, went, oh, okay, all right. And for the first time, I think, as well as my introversion and highly sensitive nature, I started to accept it, and not only accept it, but go, all right, well, okay, if this is who I am, what do I need to support myself to be better at it and look after myself? Yeah, so I think for me, it was all of that coming together. It was like, okay, so I needed that to not burn out twice and be the best leader I can be. And also, this coaching is what absolutely lights me up. And I know you will have done it as well. You coach all kinds of people, and it's an amazing experience for all kinds of things. And it's amazing experience. The magic started happening, the real transformational, deep connection with the people I coached that didn't know it themselves necessarily, but either I came to realise, or we both came to realise, that they were usually introverted, but certainly had some sensitivity in their nervous system and a higher degree of empathy. And that's where the real connection, like I say, that real transformation happened. So it was like bringing all that together and going, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to help people to get the help that I needed, and that I see other leaders need, that are either reverting to their old roles because it's not for them, because if they have to lead in that way, well, that's not them. This doesn't feel authentic, so they don't, or they resign, or they stay small. And so bringing all that together, giving the help that I wanted, that magic, all together into one. So that's kind of how it started. That was the journey.
Yeah, I resonate with so much there. I really do. I think, first of all, the highly sensitive, the empath, the introvert. I don't know about you, but I definitely feel that those parts were a part of me from a very young age. And I think that's why I had anxiety as a kid, because I couldn't process all of those things at such a young age. With obviously your brain isn't fully formed at that age. And I don't think I could process everything. And so I don't know if you resonate with that as well, but I definitely, my way of dealing with it, like you said, was almost numbing and dumbing down any kind of emotion so that I didn't have to feel it. I don't know if that resonates with you as well.
Oh, it totally does. Yeah, all through my life, and just not, and always feeling a little bit different, like I wasn't just quite coping with life in the way other people were, but not understanding that actually, you know, numbing and dumbing, and when I was an adult, a few glasses of wine really was how I dealt with it. And understanding that actually there are other much more healthier ways to support yourself.
That brings me to the second bit of what you came to the conclusion of, was what can I add into my life rather than beat myself up about the fact that I don't think I'm good enough, or I'm not there yet, or I'm not, whatever self-limiting belief insert there. And I think that is such a good idea for lots of different areas of life, like nutrition, for example. I know as I'm getting a bit older, I really am struggling with weight and things like that. And so shifting that into what can I add into my diet rather than what can I take away, or beat myself up about the fact that I'm not, you know, I'm eating too much of this or not enough that. And I think it applies to business as well, is what can I bring in here to support me, rather than beat myself up because I'm comparing myself to so-and-so who's doing all these things and I'm not doing that. Does that kind of make sense to you as well?
I love that. What can I add?
Yeah.
It's so positive, isn't it? Not what can I take away, or what is defective about me or needs fixing, what that negative side, but actually what can I add in? Is it is it meditation? Is it breaks in the day? Is it making sure I get out in nature at lunchtime? What is it I need to add in to support me and who I am?
Yeah. And then that's the last bit, I think, as you were talking through that, is that normalizing and permission giving part of being who you are, and knowing that who you are is enough, that you are worthy, that you are good enough just as you are. You don't need fixing. You just need the support of somebody else who can see the things that you can't see, to support you to see that you're already whole. And I think I remember having a conversation when I was quite early on in my teaching. Crikey, I think this is before I had kids, so we're talking 2007, 2008. And I'd got really upset at work because I was working in a different school. There were lots of behavioural issues, and I was incredibly honest with the deputy head, because I can't do the whole switch off, switch on thing. What you see is what you get. And so my deputy head had asked how I was getting on. I was completely honest and said, I'm struggling. I think I may have even shed a tear or two. And I remember at the time, my line manager coming up to me and giving me the biggest telling off ever, because I'd been too honest with the deputy head. And if I had a problem, I went to him. I did not show, and these were his words, do not show your weakness to senior management. And I would always take that as a clip of how not to do things, but also to kind of just to be really aware of it's okay being who I am. I couldn't do that then, but I could do that now. Does that make sense?
Oh wow, totally. Yeah. Oh, what an experience.
Yeah. It just sticks out every time I sort of have doubts about myself or anything like that. I'm like, no, you're okay being exactly who you are. So I love the fact that you've brought that into the conversation, because I think there's a lot of people probably listening who do beat themselves up because they're not X person over there, or they're not doing Y in their business, or, you know, again, insert whatever they're not feeling they're doing right at the moment. And actually taking that step back and thinking, I'm not broken. I don't need to be fixed. I am whole. It's okay being who I am. I just have to make this work for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you highlight that beautifully with that clip. And I'm sure, you know, although we're kind of not glossing over, but moving quickly over this, the courage it takes to come to be yourself and actually come back from that kind of feedback, whatever you call it, to say, you know, that courage to go, okay, so this isn't easy. It's not easy, and people aren't going to like it.
Yeah.
And they're going to tell you to toughen up and grow a thicker skin and get more confident. They're going to tell you to be who you're not. But actually, that's not okay, what they're saying. That's not okay.
I know you talked about people pleasing there, but as a recovering people pleaser, as I call myself, it is so easy to gloss over those bits and go, oh, it must be me.
Yeah.
It must be me. I need to do something different. I need to react differently, instead of creating, I don't know, sometimes it's stronger boundaries that you need. Sometimes it's actually having that courage to say to whatever person that is not okay, or that hurt because of, so you're actually putting yourself out there. And we can often think and I think this is going to be beautiful in your business, but we can often think that we have to be loud, that we have to be leery, that we have to be one of these stand up and look at me type people because they seem to be getting the most attention, which actually isn't true at all. So I love the fact, would you like just talk about the quiet aspect of your business and why you brought that in?
For me, I mean, you talked a little bit about it, about extroverts, introverts, and that look at me. I was inspired by a gentleman called Pete Mosley, who I think you know as well, who talks a lot about the quiet person. But for me, I think, you know, the quietness is obviously potentially introversion, highly sensitive and empathic, but I think it resonates with a lot of people because, you know, like me, you don't know, you know, what's an introvert. I don't know what that is, you know, until you actually start looking at it, or it's something that somebody that you know has been interested in it and they can talk to you about it, or you've learned about it. It's like, well, actually, it means you process things differently. You recharge your batteries, where you get your energy is really different. And then being a highly sensitive person, well, that for me took a lot of uncovering. Being an empath, that took a lot of uncovering. But for a lot of people, they can identify with the quiet leader aspect. And I think for me, we need this world. This world needs a mix of quiet and louder leaders. And it isn't about, you know, oh, we need everyone to be quiet leaders. It's not about that. It's about a mix and us respecting each other's qualities and strengths and understanding each other enough to say, yeah, I respect that. What you give is this, what I give is this. This is how we can balance each other. And there's so many qualities, you know, the deep processing, the deep thinking, the intuition, the perception, the empathy that quiet leaders can bring, and add that to the party of, you know, a board of you know, go-getting, quite, you know, visible, loud leaders. I mean, what amazing stuff can happen. And I think, you know, especially in industries and places where you've got a lot of people you're leading that are quiet as well. Yeah, I really like it because it resonates with people and they think, yeah, I'm quieter. And I thought that was wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, again, it's just acknowledging that you get to be who you are. If you are more extroverted and loud, then great. That's what you need to do. And you can show up as that person 100% and know that's okay. And also on the other flip side, if you are quieter, if you are more sensitive, you know that you get to show up as that person and that's okay. And you can be visible as her. Does that kind of resonate with you too, having those two bits?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are many other reasons that people are quiet, you know, that people are quieter and they bring that quiet energy as well. But for me, it's focusing on that. But yeah, absolutely. It is permission to say, I'm a quiet leader. Okay, I'm a quiet leader. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. And I know quite a few of my clients resonate with quietly defiant as well. Like I've got quite some, I'm going to say rebels as clients, but they're not loud. So they do things in a really kind of quiet way, in a way that resonates with them and feels good to them, but they are changing things. And I think sometimes you can equate quietness to submissive or non-action taking, and actually you can be quiet and a rebel, you can be quiet and defiant, you can be whatever you want really, but quiet doesn't mean that you don't take action or that you don't move forward. So I love that as well, because I think that's so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. You can be quiet and assertive. Quietly assertive, I guess, would be.
Yes.
You can be quietly anything, can't you? Or loudly anything. But yeah, absolutely. That really resonates.
So in terms of when you started your business, what did you find difficult and how did you kind of find your way through?
Hopefully this resonates with a lot of people. It was around visibility. That's what I really struggled with. Social media, blogging, really getting out there and talking about who I am and what I do and what I believe in. And all of those different things, you know, those bits that we've talked about, that my deepest, what I care about so deeply, how I feel, my emotions, who I am. I've been trying to hide this all my life. Why would I want to go out there and be talking about it? I mean, they're different business models, but the one I was choosing was an online business. I didn't really have a choice. You have to get out there, and actually it does me a lot of good in my personal development. However, it felt pretty overwhelming, and I didn't use social media either. That was the thing. I found it quite overwhelming. Busy job, lots of people, loads going on. I didn't want to go. It wasn't for me to then flip onto social media afterwards. That wasn't how I connected with people. I didn't really like it, found it overwhelming. So I'm hoping that resonates with you and maybe others as well. Although within my role, you get out there, you give presentations, give opinions, you stand up in front of people, you say things people may not agree with, you present papers, within a vet within government, make proposals, whatever it is, to some really senior people and potentially quite a lot of people as well that may or may not agree with what you say and question it and whatever it is. And that's okay. But that was okay because it's not about me and my deep core. It might be my opinion, but there's something behind it. There's the science, there's the evidence, there's the teaching, there's whatever it is behind it. And it's like you stand behind that somehow. Yeah. It's not about like deep in who I am, it's like you're taking that sort of mask out of the way, and now you need to get out there in business.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that resonates with you as well.
Oh, absolutely. I know we were saying earlier, I spent 17 years of my life, 16 years of my life teaching, which was just talking for a lot of time, having conversations, a lot of teaching from the front of classes of up to 34 at one point, which was crazy. And I had no problem with that whatsoever. Obviously, it was scary at the start, as everything is when you're new to something, but it was something I very quickly got acclimatized to and just went with it. But then when I switched to business, I was like, oh no. And I've said this before in previous episodes, I was very aware of how I articulated things or didn't articulate things, how I communicated, how I was talking, my accent, my words that I was using, everything I doubted. And so I would end up eating my words, or my brain would work quicker than my mouth, or my mouth would work quicker than my brain. I'm never sure which way round it goes. But I would absolutely, because I was doubting every single word that came out of my mouth, I couldn't think of what I wanted to say. And so it just snowballed into this complete mess. And very early on in my business, when I was still working with anxiety, solely anxiety, I had somebody who reached out and was really negative about one of my lives, about how I hope that you communicate better with your students. This is what I was teaching as well, because I really hope that you just get to the point right now, or something along those lines. I remember I came off and I went to my husband, had a few tears, and really just kind of thought, I can't do this. So yeah, just kind of using that. And I think what I did was I had the time to process it, like we do as introverts and sensitive. And I just went away, felt the emotions, all of them, and then thought, right, I have a decision here. I can use this as evidence that I'm not good enough and that I can't do this, or I can use it as fuel to go and tweak things, improve things, add things, and go and do it again. And I went for the latter option. And I've still got lots of ways to improve, but definitely just realizing you've got a decision to make. And I think, like we were saying earlier, knowing that you can do this, it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of the big things you asked about navigating it. One of the big things with that is accepting this is going to be uncomfortable. You do not have to be comfortable with this. In fact, until I did it and sat and accepted the discomfort and kept doing it, that wasn't going to go away. It wasn't going to magically go away and then I'd start.
Yeah.
I had to start and then it would get better. And for me, that's kind of what happened. I mean, talking about navigating it, I had help. I was really lucky to be on a coaching program with Emma Louise Parks, who I know you're working with. And for me, it was a case of taking it step by step and saying to myself, well, I have a busy part-time job. I can't post in social media. I don't feel able right now to be posting in social media however many times a week. I'll commit to doing it once a week. And that's it for now. And I love writing, which is great. I wanted to write a blog. I love writing, so that was great for me. But I think that was really important for me in terms of navigating that, because at one stage, even, you know, the thinking was to do a blog every 2 weeks, and I thought that's just too much pressure. I know, you know, trusting yourself to say, actually, that is too much.
Yeah.
I can always go back to 2 weeks one day. I haven't yet, but decided, no, actually monthly, that's all right. I can do monthly. I've got enough to do, you know, enough material, enough headspace, enough time to do that, and enough energy. So for me, they were really important things. The other thing was the support, and you know, I was lucky enough to be in that group coaching container, but also from my peers.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people that were in similar places from my coaching program, you know, from my coaching course or whatever, to say, oh God, I'm going to post on social media in a minute, I'm going to post on LinkedIn, whatever it is. And of course, they're like, yes, go for it. And also gently holding me accountable. And then of course they go in and like it, and that was great. And, you know, it just makes you feel better, even if it's a friend just going, yeah, I like it. And then celebrating, I think for me was really important, because it's so easy to overlook it. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier, I know, before we pressed play, about, you know, some of those voices will always be there, but they get quieter as you go through and go, no, that was all right. Especially if you pause to celebrate and go, hang on, I've done this for however many weeks now.
Yeah. And I think that's really permission giving. So many things there that you said. First of all, working out what works for you. And I always envisage, I don't know if this resonates with anybody listening, but like a bubble, and you're in the bubble, and the idea is that you're pushing your bubble, like you're stretching the bubble. You don't pierce the bubble and pop and just jump outside of it, because that would be way too much for us to sort of cope with. But you're in the bubble and you're pushing the edges. And I think what you did there with finding something that worked for you was that middle ground, wasn't it? You were stretching, you were pushing, you were doing things that were uncomfortable, but in a way that you knew that you could turn up for time and time again, and have that consistency, whatever that looked like for you. And I think writing a blog post, I know if you've never read any of Clare's blog posts, they are amazing. So do go and have a look. We'll put the link in the show notes. But writing a blog, really dedicating to doing one post a week on social media. Lots of people will talk about, you know, optimum times and optimum amount of posts. And I think it's all what works for you. And if one post a week works for you with one monthly blog post, and you know that you can show up consistently time and time again for that, that will have a success rate on the other side of that. And I also love the element there of confidence. We can think about how confidence can be improved as much as possible, but until we take action, we'll never actually have that increase in confidence. So I love the fact that you've normalized that the more you do it, the more confident you feel. It can still feel uncomfortable, but because you keep doing it, you start to believe in yourself, because you're showing yourself you can do it time and time again. And the celebration thing is huge, like absolutely huge. And I love the fact that you had that support where people were celebrating you every time you put something out, because I think that's never to be underestimated ever. And I think a lot of people, I've spoken about this before, I think a lot of people get really caught up with the result celebrations, and I think that the process celebrations are as important, if not more important, especially at the start of your business, because you haven't necessarily got the results to celebrate yet, but you can celebrate those processes. And if you've done exactly what you set out to do, how are you going to celebrate that? How are you going to really give yourself that big pat on the back and say, well done, that was tough and you did it? Would you like those to be the small steps for the audience as well for today?
Yeah, I think big, small steps, because they are big, were really that, to go easy on yourself. You know, consistency is really important. It needs to be done, and just that kind of, almost, you know, at the beginning you can under promise and over deliver. Your nervous system needs to get used to it, and you can always step up when you go, actually I can do this. Then step up, do that more frequent stuff. But stepping back, if you pushed yourself into overwhelm or pop yourself out the bubble into panic or burnout, is so much more difficult than stepping up and stepping forward. Because maybe you're epic and amazing at it. You do a month's worth of doing it once a week and go, this is easy, I can do it 3 times a week, I'm on it now. You know, so that would be it for me. And also celebration every time. And as you say, the process, not the results, not the likes, not the comments, but you've done it, and you've done it this week. You've done it, you'll do it next week. You've done it for 2 weeks, celebrate it, done it for 3 weeks, done it for 4 weeks, and you build that and build that and build that. I think I'm just inspired by what you said about peers, because you think you're alone. Everyone else must be really confident because this stuff just keep coming out, and their posts look amazing, and it's like, wow, it must be just me. What's wrong with me? I'm really, I shouldn't be nervous or uncomfortable. It's not. Once you start sharing it with people how scary it is, you'd be surprised how many people either felt like that, or ideally, if you've got somebody in a similar stage in business, they're feeling exactly the same. They're on that press button or staring at a document going, who am I to share this? But actually, we can support and help each other so much. And I've not come across anyone yet that isn't delighted to help out and support you within, starting business.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that's there's so many nuggets there that people could take away, but just to kind of similar, I think being where you're at, and knowing that that's okay, celebrating, having, even if you've got, people that you can trust to support you in that journey, whoever that is for you, I think is really important. Is there anything else there that I've missed that you were just bringing to our attention just then?
I don't think so. I just really hope that some of that, resonates with the guys that are listening and gives them some permission.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the permission given, the more I do this, that I think that is the piece that sometimes gets missed in the online space, is it's okay for so many different reasons, but it's okay to be where you're at. It's okay to do small things. It's okay to post once a week. It's okay to post a blog once a month. Like, it's okay. And how you can take yourself, we were talking about this earlier, but how you can take yourself back to neutrality so that you can see things from a neutral perspective rather than that high emotion. And that is all about regulating your nervous system, isn't it? And being okay with where you're at. So I really, really love that. And I think it genuinely is helpful, if you're listening to that, to take that fully on board and to use that to help you to move forward. Wow, Claire,
Thanks,
so much information. Thank you. So how can people connect with you? How can they find you?
So they can find me on LinkedIn and on Facebook. I've got a page, Facebook page, and also my website as well. ClareEmmaWild.com. So it's all Clare Emma Wild on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on the website.
Perfect. And I will put all those links in the show notes. And I would just like to say a big thank you to Claire for being so vulnerable and open today. I know it's not easy, but I'm hoping that the honesty will really resonate with a lot of the listeners, and they feel really okay with sharing what they need to. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate, so much for having me on here. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you have any takeaways or any questions, please do reach out to me either through Instagram, LinkedIn or Facebook at Kate Carter Coaching, or you can email me at kate@katecarter.co.uk. I always love to hear your feedback and the things that you have taken from the podcast. If you know of any other highly sensitive people, then please do share this so that I can reach more and support more highly sensitive people to embrace their strengths and gifts. As a thank you, I will pick a winner every month for a free 50-minute coaching session with me. Thank you so much.